Welcome back to Love Letters, the Nook. I'm calling this the Nook of Love Letters. In between podcast episodes and letters, we're here with our podcast producer, Christine Ahanotu. We have so much to talk about. We've had a good few episodes, right? A lot more to come. So far, I've learned that I might be too old to make massive changes unless I work super hard at it. And also, sometimes it's nice to travel and move to new places.
Yeah, no, we've hit on travel quite a bit.
Yeah.
Specifically to Italy.
Yeah, for a season about like how can people change, like go elsewhere seems to be one of the answers. So I want to take a pause and just give you some of the recent letters from the advice column.
Okay.
And as usual, I'm not giving you too much information ahead of time because I want real, honest answers. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Someone wrote in and said, I'm a 51-year-old married man who started following someone on Instagram who I think is quite interesting. She has a Substack account, and I've joined that as well. We've engaged in back and forth comments on both sites and on a few of her posts. I guess I'm confused about, can I DM her to try to get to know her better? Not to initiate any inappropriate relationship, but just for building an online friendship. I don't want to seem creepy. This like really hit home for me as someone with an online column because I was trying to think of how would I feel if I was approached by someone who wanted more than just a like.
Did he say he's married?
He's married. He just wants like interaction. He's really into the, you're making the face that so many commenters make, like the tone of the commenters about what they thought.
So for me, what comes up immediately is I feel like if you didn't have alternate intentions, you wouldn't even ask that question. Like as a married person, I'm like, I hit up people all the time on the internet and I'm like, love your articles, follow your blog, like we can be friends. But when you're starting to say like, can I? It's like, well.
But is there like a gender confidence? I guess I do have a question about whether there's like a confidence in being a woman about not being creepy. That like an inherent, one of the few privileges of like, no one's going to think I'm creepy. Like, because I don't know. Like it made me think about like specifically this person's experience as a man commenting on a woman's work, not wanting to cross some unspoken line of like, now this is weird. Yeah. I mean, I will tell you, most of our commenters said, why do you think it's creepy? Maybe because you're creepy.
You're creepy. You don't ask that question if you're not creepy.
Well, I thought more like if like there's like also a way you can indicate a lack of creepiness, like right off the bat being like, oh my God, my wife and I love your column. Like but I'm also like, what do you want from this person? Like sometimes I think we develop these parasocial relationships with people, like podcasts I listen to. I know I'm never going to know the person, but I feel like they're in my house, right? Like columnists I love, people whose work I admire. And I'll think, oh my God, in real life, we'd be like best friends. But we wouldn't be, exactly. Nor do I want us to be. Like I want that boundary. So that was another thing I asked is like, what do you really want here? Maybe just trading a few messages is good enough.
Yeah. I think too, and you know this, but like the amount of mail or letters or emails you get as somebody who is out there publicly and creating content is different than the perception of maybe this gentleman who like maybe follows 2 Substacks and like this is like a big personality in his life versus for her, you know, or you, if you get emails all the time and it's not, I hope it's not creepy.
No, and in fact, I'm actually in this email correspondence right now with someone who emailed me about a letter response I gave. I emailed him back and he was like, oh, I never thought you'd respond. Like I email some columnists sometimes, but what he said really interested me. And actually I've been thinking like, I really want to respond to him again. And not because I want to like have a coffee, but because he asked a question that I thought was interesting. So like, but we don't need to be best friends after that. It's just cool to make a small connection with someone in the world. You feel part of a bigger community. But anyway, you're on the side of the commenters of if it feels creepy, if you worry about it being creepy.
If you worry about being creepy,
you're probably
already creepy.
Okay, letter 2. Hey there. I'm a 31-year-old woman. My mother got remarried to my now stepfather when I was 17. By the way, you're welcome in advance for this letter.
Okay.
Through this marriage, I inherited a stepbrother, a couple of years younger than me. We're now in our 20s. We've always gotten along really well and enjoyed spending time together. Recently, I've noticed myself noticing him. I'm embarrassed to be admitting this, but it's gotten to the point where I'm tempted to act on it. Neither of us are in a relationship currently, and sometimes I get the feeling that he's noticing me too, but I don't want to be the first one to act. I'm concerned about what my family, friends, and coworkers will think. I'm afraid that he could be the one for me, and by not acting, I could miss out on something great.
Is that it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I wonder about this all the time.
Do you?
Not all the time, but yeah, whenever I think about like relationships formed out of step families and like they're not blood related, so it's completely fine. But how it would be weird.
I think about Clueless a lot because like that's a mainstream movie that we all rooted for, like, and they're like ex-step siblings. I think the
Were they?
Or like yes. Okay. Oh yeah, that was like her full-on stepbrother, and the whole time we're like kiss, kiss. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's also like how were you raised? Were you raised really closely like you were?
Well, I think if you don't have any actual biological tie, it's actually not weird.
I mean, it's fine, but
genetically you don't have that wall.
But more like emotionally, what if there's a breakup? I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's like where it gets complicated.
Christmas is hard at that point. My thing was, I noticed the one line where she's like, I'm not in a relationship, he's not in a relationship. What if I'm missing out on somebody? I wondered if she's also having dating fatigue. Like there is something like a little bit of like there's
this
no one
guy's always
else
around.
right? Like this guy already likes my family. He's in it. Like I wondered whether there needs to be more time to wait, because if you're doing this from a
How old did you say? 31 though?
Yeah, like
so that's not. Yeah, I mean they're not like.
No, but like, is it boredom? Is it like there are no other options? Like, by the time they try this, they should be pretty sure that this is.
Well, they should talk about it before anything. Because then it's like, let's try this for 3 months, kind of maybe even in private, see if we're actually feeling stuff for each other, and then knowing that, move forward with the idea that, like, this is probably going to have to be pretty serious or not, but, like, let's not just...
I don't think you can casually date your stepbrother. No. I mean, I don't speak from experience, but...
Talk about Christmas, though. I mean, if everyone's married by the end, that's great. I mean, they have kids, the mom... There's a grandma, and she's also the...
I am watching Downton Abbey for the first time, and I had seen the movie, but never the show. And when you see the Downton Abbey movie without any other context, I spent half the movie being like, are these people sleeping together, or are they related? I could not tell who was related. And now that I'm watching the show, it's a little bit of both. Yeah. That was like cousin time. Mm-hmm. That was like, it's a different time in that time, where it's everybody's like, cousin this, cousin that. I'm like... Yeah. But this letter, it's a little bit more clear about that stuff. But anyway, I was just appreciative of this letter because I have had step relatives, and this has not been an issue for me. And thank goodness it's always been really, I don't know.
Yeah, I always say I always wonder, but no, I've wondered about that before, specifically with step families. Yeah. If you fall in love with your half siblings, you put a bunch of, like the Brady Bunch, you put like a bunch of 17-year-olds, someone's gonna fall in love.
Just, I would say, slowly. No quick decisions. All right, last letter. This came in on Valentine's Day, and I know it's been a bit, but to me, it's like a universal. The fact that this came in on Valentine's Day too, it says a lot. It starts, I hate Valentine's Day. I don't like heart-shaped anything. I do like flowers, but not red roses. I'm a lonely lady alone, even when married, grew up without affection. Aww. Would I like someone in my life? I think so, but I am stubbornly independent and I don't like much. Suggestions for finding someone. My plants and books are my company. Don't suggest groups or hobbies to meet, folks. Doesn't work. Okay. So, like, already as an advice columnist, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of walls there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Suggestions for how to find someone?
I mean, yeah. Well, and what do you think? What would you tell her?
I would say it sounds like you don't want to be in a relationship. Maybe the idea of one.
I also think like there's like a relationship and then a serious relationship. Like I think there's a lot, and I know this. Like when I'm at my most alone, I'm like, I don't want somebody changing my whole life, and it's like, dude, no one's asking.
How old did she say she was?
I believe she did not say, and I believe she lonely lady alone. It's so funny. I just like put a certain age on that, but my thought is older. I will tell you that when I ran this letter, some people emailed me and was like, I am also a lonely lady alone who wants no companies and annoyed by everything. Does she want to be my friend? Yeah. And I thought that was really sweet. Like there's a group of people at a party, at every party, that's in the corner being like, ugh, this party. And you kind of got to find your people.
Yeah. And I think too, because that's why I asked the age, like, my mom and me had a conversation where I was like, would you ever get married again? Or like, she's in her 60s.
Yeah.
And she's like, absolutely not. She's like, even if I went back 20 years, I would never do it again. And I don't want somebody taking up my space. But she's like, but I would, I'd be open to like a friend, like, someone that I get to do things with. So I think there's levels. Like, it sounds like she doesn't want anyone in her space. She doesn't need like overt displays of affection or heart anything. But, might be nice to just, I don't know, have a book club buddy who you see once a week. And, that sounds probably like a better dating. I mean, yes, hence love letters, but it's like, it's complicated, especially as you get older. It's just like...
It's complicated, and I just feel like one thing I said to her was like, I'm not snobby about how people find connection, and I think online connections are really good, and those people aren't in your house. So like there might be a great plant forum.
Yeah,
you can talk to
exactly.
people, and maybe one of those people seems like local, and you might want to get lunch with them, but like if you're engaging with people and they're not right in your space, like it's real. It's still real.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, thank you for your impromptu advice. And I just want to remind everybody, if you have a letter, obviously we run letters anonymously that's about relationship questions, dating fatigue, having vibes with your stepbrother, friendship issues. You can email loveletters@boston.com, or you can just go to boston.com/loveletters and fill out the form. So before we move on, I just want to give people a hint about the next episode of the podcast. It is a heavy one, I will warn. Want to give a little preview?
Yeah, like a description?
Yeah, just what people have, what kind of change we'll be exploring next episode.
Yeah, I think next week's episode is about something that a lot of people struggle with, that can be biological and can cause a lot of pain, but also if approached with bravery, as the guest that we interviewed does, that good things are still possible by the end. So yeah, it's a good one. It's a really good one. It is heavy, but there's a lot there.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have a new episode soon. And again, we're on boston.com/loveletters.